going to find out very shortly if this actually works. Well, while I wait, hello. Waiting for Maker's Muse. Maker's Muse is putting out 2,600 kilobits a second. There we go. How's it going, guys? Angus here from Maker's Muse. Well, I have been busy, to say the least. Welcome to what will be in the future the new Maker's Muse studio. It's been a very busy week. I didn't really announce what was going on, but we have relocated. I do hope the audio is okay. I'm using a different microphone because I don't know where the boom stand is for my usual microphone. It's somewhere. But we've got Animation Creations, Wellbot, Ben, Johnny Gardner, Jared, Shivel. Welcome, guys, so much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me, I should say, on this lovely Friday afternoon here in Australia. I had the window open a little bit, so you'll probably hear some sort of squeaking sounds. They are rainbow lorikeets. There is a lot of them where we are now, as well as different honey eaters and wattle birds that make like a metallic sort of sound. Very interesting. So if it's annoying, let me know in the chat. But yeah, thank you for joining. And there's not much set up yet, but the plan is to have what I used to have with those LED panels, but like times 10. I am going to go full out. I've got so much more space. It's awesome. So I'm going to be doing a lot to this studio in the coming weeks. Animation Creation, it's only 5 a.m. in the UK. Really should go to bed at some point. That's 5 a.m.'s fine. You're fine. I appreciate you being here. So yes, we have relocated. We have moved. The new location has a double garage, so I do have a lot more space to play with, as well as a really small workshop, but like a dirty space. So I can actually properly have my drill press and welding gear and sort of bring all that stuff back. For the last few years, I haven't been able to do anything like that because the rental properties have been really strict, and we're actually going through a bit of stuff for the previous one because they're blaming us for stuff we didn't do. Usual, you know the drill. If you've ever rented before, landlords suck, as William Osman so eloquently put it in his last video. So we have a room here for studio, we have a room for the machines and stuff, and then we have a dirty room for really sort of hardcore project making. So I really am so looking forward to bringing you guys more content. So I thought, because I was moving, I went to JCar, which is Australia's sort of electronics distributor. I don't know what the equivalent would be in the US or the UK. Basically, if you want electronic components and sort of things like that, you go to JCar. Bit expensive, but over the recent years, they have been having 3D printers. I did review JCar Filament in 2016. It was expensive. It wasn't that great. It was all right. Anyway, they've since moved on to bringing in to Australia machines from companies like Creality and FlashForge, which is where this comes from. So this is the Creality CR100, and Naomi, Sexy Cyborg, did an unboxing and actually remade the case for it. And I believe Chuck Hellepuck over on his channel was going to review one, but he had issues with it. So I actually bought this. Do I need another 3D printer? No. Should I be buying 3D printers? Probably not. But I wanted it. It was there. I purchased it. So what I thought would be fun is to do a full-on, candid, unbiased unboxing and setup of this with you guys in a really chill manner while we're here in the studio that isn't quite set up. So I'm just going to read some of your comments and then we're going to get into it. I am using my laptop to stream because in my previous stream I mentioned that my main rig is having issues with the camera. Great. So we'll see how we go. But I'm going to keep an eye on the comments here. And if you have any questions, comments, let me know. Ben is asking, I have a question. I'm nervous about my Ender 3 when I print with it. I'm worried it's going to catch fire. Yeah, okay, fair. Can you give me any tips on preventing that from happening? So I haven't kept up to date on the latest with the Ender 3s. They've gone through many iterations. There was a risk with the connectors which were the yellow connectors from the power supply. They were burning up. Check those first. The newest version should have the genuine ones from, I think it's Emax, if I remember correctly. There'll be a brand on it. Just check their quality. They did change that. But the thermal runaway issue is still going with Ender 3s. People in chat can probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I think even recent ones might not have thermal runaway because of an issue with the amount of storage of the firmware. The firmware gets too big or something for the EEPROM. Don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, thermal runaway and check those connectors are the main things you need to check on an Ender 3. Yeah. Grant House, thank you so much for that. $10. That's going to get me a nice beer later. I appreciate it. You didn't have to do that. I'm just really happy to casually chill out with you guys on this stream. All right. So, let's move this out of the way. So, CR100. The history behind this is it's a 3D printer aimed at kids by Creality, and I believe it was actually crowdfunded in China on their own crowdfunding platform, and it looks like this. It looks like a truck. So, we'll see what it looks like in person, but it's very interesting, to say the least. Whether it's a good printer or not, I have no idea. I've also lost my Stanley knives in the move, so I'm using a pair of crappy side cutters. Alright, I might just stand up very quickly, so I can actually get to it. Easy. Hey, Eddie, thanks, man. Hope you've moved away from the snakes. Actually, I've moved closer to the snakes. Where I am, it's been quite dry in Australia in general, but in New South Wales, very dry. And the snakes come from the hills into houses and stuff, apparently, when it's dry, looking for water sources. There's been a few sightings, but mostly pythons, which are really friendly and safe. Don't worry. Don't worry about it, dude. I appreciate it all the same. So this was $300 Australian from JCar. So yeah, that's actually about what it is on GearBest, but it's not that cheap for a toy. $300 on a whim, nah, maybe, but yeah, it's a bit expensive. Grant House, what were you asking about the Form 3? Do you think the Formlabs 3 is accessible for new users? I will probably be able to have a look at one soon. I think it's going to be really high quality, but whether it's going to be easy to use or not, not too sure. For a resin system, for sure, one of the best. I have no doubt the Formlabs 2 was amazing, but resin is still resin. It's still messy. It's still, I couldn't really recommend it for a beginner. But if you are willing to put some effort into learning up and keeping it safe and in the right location, and it's expensive, understand the consumables are also expensive, then yeah, I think you could do amazing things with the Form 3. Alright. Oh, it's a box in a box. Of course it is. How's that? So, it looks like a truck. Yeah. So this is the Creality CR100. And yeah, let's just get it out. I don't know what to expect. It's meant to work out of the box. It's meant to be for kids. I'm gonna be very critical. Again, I bought this with my own money. I didn't get given this by Creality, although they probably would love to send me one. I purchased it locally because I'm stupid. Okay. Scraper blade. This one is fairly sharp. It would do some pretty significant damage. It's not the sharpest blade I've come across in a box, but it would do some serious damage to a child, so that's already a little bit concerning. Creality always has great packaging. Something I've always mentioned with our Creality machines like the Ender 3 and that is they have this good high quality foam. It's not just polystyrene. I do like that. not many people care about packaging, but it does make a difference when these machines are coming straight from China. So, good marks for that. And it's blue, not red. The blue ones don't go as fast as the red ones. That's so stupid. It only prints trucks. It might only print trucks. It might not print anything else. That is ridiculous. Oh, threw the print bed away. Right. This is the print bed. That's it. It's a tiny bit of sheet. Yeah, it's sheet steel. A little bit flexy. So I assume that's what you print on. Maybe. Alright, I don't regret this. There's no buyer's remorse at all here, I promise. Oh, wow. Alright. So, you can see, completely injection molded. And it has all of these aesthetic details, like the little exhaust vent. It's got the Bowden extruder at the back. It has these windows at the front, which are pressed into place. And a tiny print volume. R2A38, whatever, sorry. Is this bed actually spring steel? I don't know. I'm not going to bend it to find out. It feels pretty stiff. It does feel like spring steel. What's this camera angle? This is the camera angle that is just on the monitor because I don't know where anything is because it's all in boxes. So I hope you enjoy. It's very unprofessional stream. Yeah, so it's like 100 by 100 print volume. Absolutely tiny. Alright, what else have I got in the box? We have instructions. We have it's okay, it's a tiny spool. It's a really small spool. That's that. What is this, a printer for ants? It sure is. Yes, Chatman, I did indeed move. This is the first stream from the new location. I've been dropping a few hints. It's, hopefully the last move will do for a very long time. I really do sincerely hope so. I was saying about William Osmond's latest video, how they got evicted from their last premises. I didn't get evicted, but still I want that t-shirt that he had. If the demo print isn't a wheel, I'll be disappointed. I will be disappointed if it isn't something truck related as well. Okay, this is super interesting. Alright guys, so I was mentioning that this printer is for kids. It's aimed at children. It's got a tiny LCD on the top. Tiny, you can probably barely see it. But this is the power cable, so this is Australia, same as China as well. Power's straight into the side, so there's no external adapter, which means that the mains is going to be in the bottom, which is usually a bit of a concern, but it's completely enclosed. 100%. Shival is asking if I bought or rented. I am not going to answer that question, unfortunately. But I will say that we're going to be here for a while. Alright. So, I suppose, I don't really read manuals, but I suppose I probably should. I want to give this the fairest, I want to pretend I have no idea what I'm doing. I've already sort of ruined that, but let's pretend I don't know what I'm doing. I've gotten it out of the box, I've ripped the packaging open. Let's have a squiz. Let's see, can go a little bit down a little bit. So you can see it a bit easier. There you go. So, for a start, this is a big manual for a tiny printer. So we have a list of items it came with, which it did. Card reader and stuff is in here. Yep, there you go. So it takes micro SD cards. Filament, 200 grams, 2 platforms. There's one on it already. Okay. That's cool. Okay. So the platform was already on the bed. This is a magnetic spring steel sheet that just literally clicks into place. So it goes in there. And clicks in. So I know it's a bit hard to see, but if I do that, that's gone. If I do this, you can see it lifts out and goes back in. Benjamin's asking, might be buying an old beat up. Oh, what are you saying? I might be buying an old MakerBot Replicator 2 and fixing up with ramps and other upgrades. Is it worth it? It's worth it if it's like $50 or less. The design is very outdated. The extruders on the Replicator 2s were terrible. You had to do a lot of mods to them. They're quite loud. The beds kind of bounce a bit. They're not terrible, but they're machined from like 2011. So, yeah, pretty old, I guess. The book is bigger than the machine. It's pretty close, hey? It's pretty close. All right, so the book is saying operational information. There's a switch somewhere. There we go. Nice big red switch. And apparently there's a spool holder even. So this spool, I've lost everything already. Oh, there we go. That's right, the dangerous spatula. So tempted to unsubscribe for your poor decision. Well, unsubscribe then. See if I care. I'm doing this because I enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, then don't watch. Alright. So we've got a tiny spool. And it goes on the back somewhere. But I don't know how. Oh, maybe? Tiny spool holder. So that's going to be really pointless for anything over this size. Absolutely microscopic. But I suppose it fits with the aesthetic. That's probably going to be the first thing you'd change if you actually use this properly. Although a 1 kilo spool might make it actually fall over and tip backwards. Love the shirt, thanks Grant. It's literally from the 90s. It's like all the intros and outros from the 90s kids shows. There we go. It's that in shirt form. One of my favorites. Alright, so we've got the spool holder in place. We've got the magic platform. Magic. Which is just spring steel on magnets, but there we go. And apparently there's a clip. What the heck is this? Is this a remote control? Is this an IR remote control to tell the printer what to do? That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. This may be the strangest thing I've seen on a 3D printer for a very long time. I don't remember Naomi's review in detail. It might have had this. Or it might be new. I don't know. That's the strangest thing I've seen. This is great. I love going blind into these things. I have no idea what's going on. Yeah, Shibbles, if it doesn't drive around, it's a waste. It definitely needs wheels, for sure. It definitely does. Alright. So, we will go from here to load filament. So, yeah, it says the remote control is required to... Okay, so it does have 3 buttons on the top as well. I don't know if you can see that. Three little buttons. One is start, pause, one is home, and one is heat and cool. So there's no click wheel, touchscreen, nothing like that. There's a tiny screen protector though, which I can't get off. Okay, there we go. World's smallest screen protector. Creality putting their best minds on this printer. Creality makes some whack decisions. I love them, and also they drive me insane. They're just, what is this? I mean, it's amazing, and I don't know. It's terrible and amazing, but I don't know their market. Maybe it's perfect for them. All right, so it says to load the filament in. I'm gonna just turn it on first. So let me just find some power. Bear with me for one moment. Okay, so we have it plugged in, and the switch is on this side. See that tiny little screen there? Very, very small. Print bed versus remote size comparison. Good question. There you go. I think the print bed is 2 remotes across. Kathleen, welcome, just tuning in. What did this printer cost? This cost me $300 Australian. So, I'm not sure that translates to in US. Probably about 2 something. Not the cheapest, but it is fully injection molded and designed to be for kids out of the box with no assembly. Whether it's going to be good or not, let's find out. I don't know. Alright. Okay, so we're on. I can hear a cooling fan for the hot end. It looks like, I mean, I'll probably do a proper review on this, but it looks like the hot end's the same as normal Creality printers. It's that red heat break. Looks pretty standard. So I'm going to press heat. And the tiny LCD is telling me that it's trying to reach 180 degrees C. That LCD is actually fairly readable. It's not going to be on the camera because I'm only using a webcam. But it's actually fairly readable to me. It's just really cheap. What's the OLED? I don't know if it's, not sure if it's OLED. 3D Tanny, that's some serious hydration there. Yeah, it's my thirsty boy bottle. I drink so much water. I drink way too much water. I always get paranoid I'm going to get a headache from not drinking enough water. Okay, so I'm going to take the battery protector out of this remote. And in theory, this should be good to go. So it's heating up. Get our filament out. Just a tip, if you're loading Bowden extruders, cutting the filament off in a sharp point is useful. You also want to be mindful that it wants to curve round due to the natural curve of the filament, so I usually cut it facing outwards. So because it's curving this way, I want the point to be on the outside, like that. So the sharp bit's here. So when it curves around, it's more than likely going to be centered enough to feed through. It's just a little thing that helps it feed through easier. Or you can also straighten the filament out with your fingers as well. That's just what I do. I don't know if it helps. So I'll put that through. That goes through super easy. And I think it just manually pushes through to the end. I don't think there's any extrusion routine or anything like that. Gyan Krishna, thank you. Thank you so much for that, dude. That's amazing. You guys are awesome. Yvonne is saying OLED displays on a PCB and all around $5 Canadian. Yeah, they're pretty cheap now. So I don't think the components would cost them too much. Alright, so I'm just forcing this through with my hand. And we should start seeing it come out the bottom. It's already at temperature, which is cool. Is it using 4mm rods? Yeah, I think they literally are 4mm. Oh no, they're bigger than that. They look like 5 or 6. It's pretty small though. And there's no bearing, it's just a bushing. Yeah, so it looks like 5. Alright, we have filament all the way through. Lovely. Alright. If you haven't guessed, it's a non-heated bed as well. If you hadn't figured that out. And I don't think there's even any adjustment. It's just what it is. And it's an only small bed, which is usually you can get away with it. But no adjusting, no heating, nothing fancy. Great to see me read the instructions. I have been reading the instructions, thank you very much. I went through the first few steps of the quick start guide. I know I never usually do that, but I did do that. See, I'm on to E. Alright, first print, we need to load the SD card. Batteries not including. I really do want to make this completely battery powered. Quick note, there is one of these in the box as well. So this is an acupuncture needle, and it's good to clean nozzles with. It's also very sharp because it's an acupuncture needle. So children and these, just like the scraper blade, doesn't really match up to me. I understand why it's in here, but adult supervision required. Don't just give this to a child. They're going to hurt themselves, more than likely. Okay, I found the clips they were talking about. So I assume these clips just go... Where are they saying? The magnetic platform... somewhere. Maybe the other side? I'm not sure how to use these clips. What? Rudy, thanks so much. I love your work. Will you please come to Go Atomic Pop Culture event January 2020 as my guest? I have no idea what that is, but if you could send me an email at sales@makersmuse.com, let me know a bit more about it, and I'll let you know if I can, if it's up my alley. But I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, still micro SD card, absolutely. I don't know what this is doing. Oh, okay. So this clip, it's clearly just like an extra bit of security and insurance. It's got a tiny gap in it. It's way too small for you to see. But I think when you drop it into the machine, I think the surface needs to go into that gap. No? What? It's just very tight. This is definitely an afterthought from Creality. Okay, yeah. Oh, that sound. That was not nice. Okay, so there's a little clip that's meant to keep the magnetic bed in place a bit stronger. That's clearly a dodgy afterthought. I do not like doing that. Shouldn't need clips from magnetic bed. Agreed. Yeah, it shouldn't. That's not sure why they're there, to be honest. Okay, let's load in our SD card. I just dropped it because I'm stupid. Oh no. You know when you drop something and it just like finds that magic angle to bounce right behind something? That's what this did. We're back. Okay. So, micro SD card, it's an unnamed 8 gigabyte card. Chuck it in. Alright. And we press the... Apparently, according to the instructions, you just press the go button. Press the go button. Go. I would have expected beeping. I don't know if it's just me, but I would have expected this machine to make a beeping sound. I think that's a good sort of indicator of what's going on. But we'll see. It says it's heating. And Driva, welcome. You are watching me unbox this tiny little printer that I bought because why not, in the new studio that I just got into a few days ago. And I'm just hanging out with you guys because I wanted to, because that's why I do these videos, because it's fun and you guys are awesome. Yeah, it's backing up. Unlikely creators. If this machine made like beep, beep, beep noises. Oh, it's making some noises. Normal, boring 3D printing noises. It's a little louder than I would have expected though. Alright, well, first issue is there's a big string of pre-extrusion that's there and it's in the way, so that's annoying. I'll see if I can get it out. You pushed it out of the way. Okay. So I'm going to see if I can get this so you can actually see it printing. It's really difficult because that's a fan, so that's the heat break fan, which does have a nice cover to protect it from curious children, but you can't see it printing very easily. Alright, we'll just leave that for now. You can go there, and I'll see what you guys have been talking about. Can it 3D print Vegemite? I'm sure it can. I expected to hear you raise me up every time I calibrate my set on my printer, or is it disappointed it doesn't yet? You totally could program G-code that makes different notes to do something. Devin over on Make Anything made a whole song with his machine. What are we printing? Did it even say the name of the file? No, it didn't. I have no idea what we're printing. It just says printing. It doesn't say what it is. The instruction manual does not say what the first print is either. It does say model will be printed after 2 minutes. It will only print the nearest model on the TF card. I don't know what the nearest model means. Nearest model. I have no idea. But we'll find out. Is it a loud printer? Well, you tell me. This microphone picks up, pretty good sounds. It's reasonable. It's actually fairly quiet. I've definitely worked with much louder 3D printers. Troy is saying you can buy it right now for 160 US on the Creality website. I'm not sure if I'd still buy it for that. But maybe with adult supervision it might be good for a kid. I mean, it does look like this. It does look like a truck. So, let me level with you guys. The reason I bought this is because the instant I saw it, I thought, I want to make that into a remote control truck. Because that's how I work. I'd see stupid things, I want to do stupid things to them. So, this machine, I reckon, with some wheels, and a huge trailer with batteries in it, and filament, could literally be the world's first 3D printing remote control truck. I don't know why there needs to be that, but I would like to make it happen. Naomi is in very good connection with Creality, and she actually, when she modified her CR100 to have a different case, because this is obviously aimed at children, she got the CAD files for the original case, which is amazing. So I might hook up with her to try to figure out some dimensions, and then start using Fusion 360 to then do all sorts of crazy stuff with it. It's definitely Transformers inspired. There's nothing on the box that says Transformers, but you can definitely tell it's Transformers inspired. And make it beep. Death Shakers, make it beep. I definitely need to make this beep, or even give it a little car horn. Truck horn. So I can beep. Oh boy. I really want to do stuff like that. So, again, if you're just joining the stream, welcome. This is not normal Makers Muse content. The reason I'm doing this stream is because we have recently moved, and the last few weeks, months to be honest, have been very disrupted behind the scenes, which is why I haven't been able to do crazy projects like I normally would do. So that stops now. That's done. Everything from here onwards is going to be super cool. I'm really looking forward to bringing stuff, and hopefully it's the last time we're ever going to relocate for, well, at least for a very long time. So I'm really looking forward to that. 3D Tanny saying the order of the SD card might be alphabetical, maybe the most recent. Yeah, I'm not sure what it will be. I'll need to do some tests. I'm sure the manual actually probably says it as well. Oh, it finds the first one on its file listing algorithm. What's its algorithm? I don't know. Anyway, in terms of getting a machine out of the box and printing, there was no bed leveling, no nozzle height setting. I pushed the filament all the way through when it was preheating, and it is now printing. So that's pretty good. That's really quite good for a machine that you want to aim at a beginner. Obvious downsides, the print volume is tiny, 100 by 100, and there's no cover here. It's open. So there's no real protection for children in terms of keeping them unable to touch it. Yeah, again, I think someone made a point of, why would we try to stop children from touching sharp things, otherwise they won't learn. Good, that's a fair point. But you don't want that to happen in a school environment or something like that, because then teachers will be held liable, and that's never any fun for anyone. And modify it so it puts smoke out the exhaust. Maybe. These are pretty tacky. These are fairly tacky, just attached on with screws, I think. Or if it's snapped in, I'm not sure. Everything's snapped. Everything's snapped in place. Someone's really put a lot of effort in designing this. A lot of effort's gone into making this production ready. The fact that this is all one piece is just phenomenal. Print a truck door for safety. That's a good idea too. That is a fantastic idea. Just 2 big truck doors on the side. Daryl, am I still in the Gong? I'm still in the Gong area, yeah. So I've been keen to visit Robots and Dinosaurs for a while, but it's so far away, and I just haven't had the time. But I will hopefully have the time in future to go there, because the guys there are just fantastic, and yeah, Robots and Dinosaurs is a fantastic place. The spool is shaking a bit. I see what you mean. So, the reason the spool is moving, I'm doing that to the table, so that I'm not helping, but it's moving back and forth because of the retraction. So, this machine has quite a large retraction because it's a Bowden, and as I discovered with the Ender 3, retraction settings make all the difference for the quality of the print. But I was also just shaking the table as well. Printer guy driving it from the inside, yeah, and a little steering wheel maybe. You can push it so far. Really, what I just want to do is put some big truck wheels on it, give it the bed, and then do the trailer, the semi-trailer from the back. I don't know what the terminology is. And then in that trailer, put the batteries I've got. So I've got these headway cells, which are actually used for electric vehicles, 15 amp hours each, 3.3 volts. Very big. And then filament as well. You could do some of these little filament spools or something like that. I don't know what voltage it takes, because, as I mentioned at the start of the stream, the power brick, so the adapter is actually in the machine. There's no external power brick, so I'm not sure what voltage it takes. Knowing Creality, it could be 12 or 24, so not too sure. It doesn't say, but it says it's 50 watts, which is, doesn't tell me anything actually. Shivel's saying put a Joel bot in the driver's seat. That'd be a good idea. Or on the outside, like a gremlin, like crawling on it. Steve's saying it's just too small. Yeah, it's tiny. You'd really have to make a case. I do think 150 millimeters, like the Adventurer 3 I tested recently, that size, I think that's good enough for most people. 150, you get quite a lot of room to play with. 100, it's just a bit too small, in my opinion. Especially when you do complicated things where you need support material and rafts and rims. It eats into that space so fast. So, Good enough for small, quick prints, because obviously smaller beds, the prints finish quicker, but bad for anything super serious, I think. Let me just make sure I haven't missed anything else in the manual. It says there's a Creality slicer, which is probably just rebranded Cura. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. I'm not sure. Yeah, alright, I'll do that later. Oh, that's just Prontoface. Is that not Prontoface? I haven't seen that for a very long time. Or in Repetier, which has it built in. That's interesting. I guess it has no interface really, so I guess that's the only way you can control it. Stranger's saying 12 volts on the GearBest website description. Cool, okay, thank you. 12 volts is preferable because you can use 3 headway cells to get... Sorry, 4 headway cells. 4 headway cells to get an approximate of 12 volts with a decent enough... what would be called switch mode power supply, so you don't lose too much in terms of power losses. Greggy is asking, can you print nylon on a Cetus 3D Mark II? I would say not. The nozzles are peak lined and nylon gets very close to what starts to do nasty things to that material. The Up Mini 2, yes, it's an all metal hot end, but the Cetuses, no. I wouldn't advise it. Not unless it's a modified, like, alloyed nylon with a lower temperature, like 260, 250. You might get away with it, but again, you'd need a heated bed upgrade to make it work at all, because nylon warps and it will not stick to a non-heated bed, at least in my experience. Dale's asking, what's the resolution? If it's 0.1, you could use it for fun detail. I would say it's a 0.4 nozzle. I'm going to go out on a limb and say and guess it's a 0.4. So I'm sure you could print at 0.1mm layer heights, but it's not going to be any better than any other printer printing at 0.1 with a 0.4 nozzle. Charlie's saying you could make a full filament extruder as the trailer, so it makes its own filament as it drives. Oh, I wish... So, I know you're just joking, but I do wish filament recycling was and home filament production was a more easy thing to do. Teaching Tech recently did a video on like a grinder and that sort of thing, and it's just so challenging to get consistent filament without high-end production gear to get that consistent diameter. So yeah, I would love that. I wish it was easier. Kathleen is asking, can you use wood PLA on the Ender 3 Pro? Have you tried it and how well does it work? I haven't tried a wood PLA for some time. They've changed, but when I used to try them, I didn't use a 0.4 nozzle. I used to use a 0.5 or 0.6. I used to find that the particles would often jam in a 0.4mm nozzle. Having said that, the newer ones might be better, I'm not sure, but through a Bowden it should work fine, but they tend to string a bit more than regular PLAs, so keep that in mind. But you shouldn't have any issues. It should work fine. Just keep in mind that they used to, for me, jam the 0.4 nozzles quite badly. And then, obviously, it bakes into it, and then it's just that nozzle's done. Nova's asking, I'm wondering if I should get the E3D V6 hot end for my Ender 3. Look, it's a really good hot end, but I question how much money you want to throw at a low-end 3D printer. I know that there's a big debate around that, and it will give you better print quality, but in my experience, improving the cooling is a much bigger deal. Improving the Bowden extruder first is a big deal, and making sure the machine's all tight and there's no flop in the system. Then once all that's good, I would look at a better extruder. At least that's how I would do it. Cover your bases first. Make sure the Bowden's as tight as it can be, with great couplers, great tubing, and make sure that the cooling is really good. Because that's what makes a huge difference in these PLA printers. Although you can print ABS and PETG on the Ender 3. I did PETG on my Ender 3 quite a lot, actually. It worked quite good. But they're primarily used with PLA. Ben is asking, what do I think the next big jump will be for FDM, like expanded materials? Yeah, I think the big next jump for FDM will be consolidating the dual material compatibility and making that super easy to use. I want to see a material like Stratasys has for supports, because PVA, although it works, is really finicky, whereas Stratasys have this really high end. I think it's still protected, which is why you can't get it. But it's like you dissolve it in hot alkaline dish soap water. I don't know what the term is. Like you put these. It's like lye, but it's not as hardcore. It's close though. Anyway, this material in an alkaline bath dissolves away, leaving the material behind of your print. And so for the Stratasys systems, you'd print with ABS, for example. And the surface quality is phenomenal between these two, with the interaction between the two. I want to see that sort of thing be pushed out for FDM, and I think we just have to wait till the protection expires, till the patents expire. Josiah is asking what are my thoughts on the Up Plus 2. The Up Plus 2 is completely outdated. I used to use them all the time, but I would not buy one today. They are a fantastic machine that was great like 5-6 years ago, and now they're overpriced, even what you can buy them for now. And the biggest issue with them, and this is really just strange, is the print beds. Big aluminium plate with a tiny cartridge heater in the middle. So the cartridge heater would heat this whole bed. So if you looked at it under a thermal camera, the corners would always be cooler regardless. So like the more modern machines with the PCB heaters, far superior. Ones that are fully supported, the Up Plus 2 was cantilever. Yeah. It had a good run. It was a fantastic machine. It still is pretty good, but we've moved on a bit. 3D Tanny was asking about hips and limonene for, I assume, dissolvable supports. I have to tell you from experience, it's not what it's cracked up to be. The issue with limonene dissolving hips is it doesn't dissolve it cleanly. So it turns into like a goop. It's sticky, it never dries. Limonene doesn't fully wick off like other solvents. So what will happen when you put it with ABS is the ABS part becomes sticky. It smells like, oranges, because limonene's made from oranges. And the biggest issue is it leaches color from other plastics. It's still a really hardcore cleaning agent. So what we would find is when you put PETG in with limonene, it would go soft and then over time harden again. And we would find that some pigments in the ABS would be leached out from limonene. This is testing from like 5 or 6 years ago though, mind you. Things might have changed. But that was the issue with limonene. It was very much... People were banking on it, and it disappointed me. Which is why I haven't tried doing it at home. Limonene is, however, a fantastic cleaning agent. I recently had to clean a shower, and I used limonene, and let me tell you, the Australian, hard water we've got destroys shower screens, and the limonene just annihilated it. It was sparkly clean. So, that's completely separate. But it's great for cleaning things. But also it's not that great for dissolving stuff because it makes it all sticky. How's our print going? It said it'd be done in 5 minutes. This has not been 5 minutes. This has been way longer than 5 minutes. 2 minutes. It said it'd be done in 2 minutes. Oh, wait a minute. The fine print. So... model will be printed after 2 minutes. What they're saying is it takes 2 minutes to heat up and then it starts printing. That's what they mean. So it is probably the Creality dog. You guys are guessing a dog. I'm sure it's the Creality dog. So we'll see how we go. Basement Dweller, limonene is also used by modelers glue with hips. Yes, absolutely. So limonene, it does dissolve hips, but it doesn't completely come off other materials. So yeah, it can be used to join stuff together. Personally, acetone is what I prefer to use to weld those plastics and ABS together. And I don't know what it was in those Airfix kit, that glue you could get with the long steel tube, thin steel tube that you drip the glue out to join stuff. That was solvent welding as well. And I don't know what solvent they used in it, but boy did it smell good. This is me putting together model airplane kits as a 10-year-old. I don't know what was in that glue, but it worked really well and it smelled really pleasant. So there you go. It's probably why I'm who I am today. Ben's asking, have I ever tried printing with different nozzle sizes at the same time, like a 0.4 with a 1.2? That's a big difference. I have, but not so much by my own choice. There's a machine called the CEL Robox, and that has a really novel pin valve tilting head, and in that it has a 0.3 and a 0.8, I think. It might be 0.6, but larger and smaller. And there was an option in the slicer to use a smaller detail on the outside and the bigger detail for infill. In my tests, it didn't really speed things up as much as you'd think because it had to switch between the two. Having said that, knowing how powerful slicers are now, I think you could actually optimize it to be a lot faster. And I think you could do some cool stuff with a smaller nozzle and a bigger nozzle. Like, you can skip the infill with 2 layers. So you can do the outside twice and then do a fat infill for 1 layer. Or even 3. 3, do the outside at 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, then do a 0.3 fat infill. I think that could be good, but I haven't tried it. But I've thought about it. So yeah, that's my input on it. Ron is suggesting toluene might be the solvent they use in that glue. It's quite possible. That does have a very fruity smell to it. 8-3 is saying, this is a good size for a backpack, a la Sexy Cyborg. Well, again, Naomi Sexy Cyborg did test this printer out, which is where I first saw it, and it's the perfect size for a backpack. But I still want to turn it into an actual truck. I definitely want to test it out. I don't know what it's printing. I'm gonna take a bit of a risk and show you guys. It kind of looks like the dog, but it's got 4 points of where it's starting. It doesn't look very bad. It doesn't look too bad though. It actually looks really clean. Like, more clean than it should. Like, I'm a bit impressed. Johnny Gardner, oh, thanks so much, dude. Super Chat messed up, should be 10. That's totally fine. Thank you so much. Although you're the second person to say Super Chat's messed up, so I wonder if something's going on YouTube's end. But either way, thank you. I really do appreciate it. Nova's asking, is it possible to switch between 2 different filaments during a print like PLA and PETG? It is. So I assume you're talking about one nozzle going into the same one. The temperatures have to be the same, and the printing parameters have to be similar. So PLA to PETG, what you're going to have to deal with is a jump of temperature of like 50 degrees. PETG wants to print quite hot, like 240, 250. PLA wants to print quite cool, 190, 200, maybe 210 if you're pushing it, or it's something like Polyalchemy Elixir, which is a modified PLA. So in the past, I've printed ABS and TPU together. So what I've done is I've done a coupler where I've done ABS up to a point, swapped it to TPU, done a TPU like flex area, and then gone back to ABS. And that's worked quite well actually because the temperatures were the same. I extruded at 230 or so for both. So if you want to do that, it does work, but you need to make sure the temperatures are the same. And going between flex and like flex and like ABS, like I mentioned, then you have different issues like with stringing. The ABS won't string, whereas the TPU definitely will. So that's when you need pretty powerful slicers. Simplify 3D does a really good job at that with a process-driven workflow, but all the other slicers are catching up very quickly, and now you can do region-specific... what do I call it? Like, you can do region-specific details. So in Cura and the latest Prusa slicer, you can use primitives to block off areas or other STL files, and then give them different parameters. It's very complicated, but you can do it. It's just there is a few rules you have to adhere to. Action Jackson, you don't give Creality enough respect in my... yeah. So Ender 3's rival Prusas and quality with enough tuning and patience. Yeah, look guys, I totally get it. The Ender 3 for many people is a fantastic printer. The thing is, I have to comment on what I get sent. And the first Ender 3 I ever got sent had problems. Um, and I had to rely on the community to help me out to fix those problems. So here's the thing, and I say this a lot in the channel, 3D printing is either a tool or a hobby. So if you want to learn how these machines work, how G-code works, how to tweak and tune and modify them, and you have time to do so, then it's a hobby because you're enjoying the process of learning that, and that's awesome. But there's other people who just want to design something and have it print first time. And my first experience with the Ender 3 didn't do that. I will grant that I did come back with better settings and modifications based on community feedback, and I did make a video on stringing, where I did say, look, I do owe them an apology because I got this going and it actually worked really well. But they still need tweaks, and that's the reason I don't recommend them to beginners flat out. Because not everyone is able to put together a kit, even the basics of the Ender 3, I know it's half assembled, even that for a full beginner might be too much. So it's not that I don't give them respect, I do respect Creality. I mean, I bought this stupid thing with my own money. So, you know, but it's more that I want to make sure that whoever's buying a 3D printer buys the one best suited for them. And for a lot of people, it is the Ender 3, but it's not always. And again, that's just my opinion. So yeah, I hope that clears it up. Because I do have two Ender 3s, and I will be showing a direct drive mod on the Ender 3 Pro that I got recently. But in the review, I was quite frank, saying the Pro wasn't worth the price increase over the original. It's just how it is. Hope that clears up. So, am I still a Prusa man? I still have my Mark III. I still use it a lot. But that's from the start of last year. And that was the last Prusa machine I had on board. So I still do print quite a bit on the Prusa. It does have that surface artifacting. The Mark III does have that, to a degree, that surface artifact that other printers don't. But it's so quiet, and the print bed just pops off. I have to say, and this is personal opinion again, magnetically removable print surfaces are the best thing to happen to 3D printers in the last few years. They were so rare 2 years ago, and now almost every machine has these little magnetic print surfaces, and I love that. So the Prusa does that. The Ender 3 now has a magnetic print surface. Most machines I test now have one, so that's fantastic. And that's a big reason I use a lot of them, because when you can take the bed off and flex it, you don't ruin that bed level. And I don't have time. I know it's weird working for yourself, you're at home a lot of the time, but I don't have time to re-level and test the bed level of printers constantly. I print something and then I go to bed usually. So something that works more often than not is a machine that will get used more often than not. I need more water. Sorry. I apologize. Darth Crispy, I don't think there's any plug-and-play 3D printer in the world yet. We're getting close. So, look, as much as we can joke about this thing and how it looks silly, that was plug-and-play. I mean, would you guys disagree? I got the filament, I followed the 8 or so steps, I forced it through the hot end, to the hot end. I did know to snip it, that's fair, I did know to snip it to be sharp, but the instructions could easily mention that and have a picture. And it's printing. So, to a degree, it's plug and play. Now, the next step is slicing, and I haven't tried out their little slicer yet, and things could go wrong. But so far, we're getting pretty close. There's been a lot of promise of these machines knowing what's going on and having diagnostics and stuff. The Prusa ones, for example, can do self-tests, stuff like that. But we're not to the point where they can kind of deal with issues themselves. If this breaks, or the bed's wrong, I'll have to fix it. I can't send it back to China, and JCar won't know what to do. Anyway, they're just a retail store. But it's pretty close. I think we're getting pretty close. Jake's asking, what do I think about infill to purge the nozzle between color changes in a shared nozzle printer? That's an interesting point as well. So if you don't know what he's talking about, let's say you're going from like a red to a white, and you're going up the print, you can do the change in one nozzle, because you have to transition between the two colors in the infill. The issue there is you have to have enough infill to do the purge. which is where it comes down to being very part specific, which is why it's not great for everything. If you're doing a big print, sure, there'll be enough room. But for a small print going between like a white plastic and a black plastic, going from white to black, the pigment change will be very easy. Going from a black pigment to purge all that to white can take ages. It's one of the hardest things to purge. So I don't think there's enough infill in the world to do that. I think you would need a separate purge block. Unless the slicer is clever enough to make the purge bigger or smaller depending on the area it's got and how much it needs to purge to change color. Because obviously there'd be like a wizard you could do to say, okay, well it's taken this long to change, and you press a button. They're getting cleverer. I think it's really cool, but it's very part dependent. Felix is asking, did I get this from JCar? I certainly did. This was $300 from JCar. They had it on display, and I bought it on an impulse because I was moving and I wanted it. So here we are. I literally paid for this. This is not a sponsored video by Creality. They are not. They don't even know I have this. Like, they have no say in this at all. Looks like it's printing a dog bone. I'm not sure. It's got like 2 circles, then like a bone, then 2 circles. Yeah. Yeah. Apologize for the sniffing. It's getting a bit dusty. Brendan's asking what's the best free slicer. There is no real best at the moment. They're all pretty good. The latest Cura is fantastic. The Prusa slicer is good. I would start with those two, and if you need anything else, look at Matter Control, which is pretty cool. Yeah, there's quite a few. Idea Maker as well, it's really cool. Does a lot of cool things that Simplify 3D does, but it's free. Doesn't do the process-driven workflow, I don't believe, but I haven't looked at the most recent one. I would personally start with the latest Cura. That seems to be the most universal and best suited to the Bowden style printers that most people are starting with these days. Cora is asking best security options to run your printer on its own. Stick a smoke alarm right there. If you're running a 3D printer, if that's what you're talking about, make sure that there's an early warning sign if something goes wrong. The smoke alarm won't go off from the plastic heat, but if something catches fire, it'll very instantly tell you. Can I show the front? Absolutely. There you go. It's a truck. It's a Transformers printer. Jason's saying, I think it's a lion, 2 paws and a body. Maybe. It has a raft, which tells me that they're not overly confident with their bed leveling from the factory. So for those who don't know, a raft is like a sacrificial few layers of filament. It lays it down under the print to help it adhere and also help for any inconsistencies with those first few layers. It's great because it means there's less likely, the first layer is less likely to fail. It's bad because it wastes time and filament, and you have to break it off at the end. Nathan Wilson, hello sir. Good to see you in the chat. I hope you've been using your printer recently. I don't mind. Renee is asking about non-planar 3D printing. Absolutely, everyone's been sending that to me over the last few days. I've been pretty busy moving, so I haven't had a chance to look into it too much, but Teaching Tech has done a really good video on it. So go to Teaching Tech's channel and look up his video of non-planar 3D printing. He smashed it out of the park. He figured out how to get it working, made some test models, and the results are really cool. So for those who don't know, non-planar is where the top few layers will actually be in the X, Y, and Z coordinates. So it can actually, for example, an aerofoil, not just print in the steps, like, 3D printing is usually just step by step, layer by layer. It'll actually do a non-planar fill over the top, so it'll go down in the Z direction as well to make a really nice uniform surface, and it's really cool. No question. Coastal Labs, best free CAD program, not Fusion 360. Well, I only use Fusion 360 as a free CAD program, so I'm not sure. Onshape's still available, but there's no private features. There's Blender, but that's again depending on what your process is, that might not be suitable. And then there's FreeCAD, but that's also a very steep learning curve, but very powerful. There's a few others, but I'm in the Fusion universe. I know how to use it really well now, and it's what I use. Nova's asking, can you combine the magnetic bed with the glass one? I suppose you could have a magnetic sheet under it, but I wouldn't bother. If you're going to have a glass bed, just have some slides and clips, and that works fine. The Xvico Pioneer I tested just February? A while ago now. Had a injection molded bed frame holding a glass plate, and that slid in, and that worked pretty well. It was unheated again, this unheated, but that worked good. So I don't think magnets and glass is necessary. Glass is rigid enough on its own. That's another one. License to Drive saying Design Spark Mechanical. That's another interesting free one as well. Cool. Okay. This is going to take a while. What's the time? 3:30. Alright, I'll chill for a bit more, guys. I do really appreciate you guys hanging out. This is tons of fun. Let's test the remote. Let's test the remote, shall we? So, if you've missed it, this 3D printer comes with an IR remote. Yeah, it's an infrared remote. So, let's try pausing it, shall we? Shall we try pausing it? Didn't do anything. Where's the infrared receiver? Do you reckon that's it? It paused! No way! It full on paused! Alright, let's try again. I've ruined the print now because it just kept dribbling filament. That's so stupid. That's the best feature. All 3D printers need a remote control to pause them from across the room now. That's cool. That's so cool. Alright. Back to the questions. David's asking, what's your favorite resin 3D printer or go-to resin printer? What would you recommend? There's so many on the market now. The Photon S, which is the newest version of the Anycubic Photon, that's what I tested and I liked it. There's also the longer 10, I think it's called, and the Elgu Mars, which is like the hottest machine right now. They're all much the muchness. They're all much the same. Same print volume, same resin system, so they use an LCD to mask off areas with a UV light below it. Just be careful with the resin. I do mention it a lot. It annoys people. I mention it so much. Whatever. You shouldn't touch the resin. It should be used in a very much ventilated area. And just be careful with them. But the print quality is phenomenal. What you can get for the money now is absolutely insane. What other buttons are there on the remote? We have home and heat and cool. I'm not going to press those two because I'm not sure what's going to happen. I don't want to home it or heat and cool it right now. But I'll test it further. So the start and stop one's good enough. The pausing is fantastic. Have we figured out what Optimus Prime is printing yet? No, we have not. I have no idea. I'll update you guys on Twitter. I'll at Makers Muse. I'll just do a photo when it's done so you can see when it's finished. It's clearly going to take a bit longer than 2 minutes. I think the 2 minutes was referring to it's heating up, not, you know, not to the print finishing. Ryan's asking about me taking a look at the Prusa SL1. No plans right now, but I'm sure a lot of really good other creators like Tom will be testing out the SL1. He's already tested the Elgu, I think, Mars. But another resin printer, but I mean it's by Prusa, so it's going to be a bit more premium and probably a little bit better quality control. These are just very much just airy statements. I have no idea what's going to be like. But I did see some of the guys went to the Prague Maker Fair and saw some good up close stuff of it. Pretty cool. But no plans for me yet. I will get back into resin printers. Now I have the space for it, and the right to the location, but I'm not sure about the SL1. Who knows? Mike's asking any upcoming projects. Yes, well, I will turn this into an actual truck. Guarantee you that. I don't know. I've got heaps of cool things planned. I have nothing to show you in here, though. It's all in boxes. Everything's in boxes still. But yes, I do need to revitalize the CAD for Newbies series, because for those who used Fusion 360, you'll know that the whole user interface has changed, which makes the old videos a little bit impossible to follow. So I will be doing a few more updates to bring everyone up to speed with the latest version. Mr. Clown, what NBN flavor do I have at the new place? It is specifically chosen to have fiber to the premises. So, for those who don't know, Australia's internet is like the worst in the world. It's not the worst in the world, but it's pretty bad. But some very few locations have fiber to the premises, which was installed under the Labor government as like a test. So it's really weird regional areas. So I specifically moved to one of these sort of areas to get it. So it's fiber directly to the house, which means it's no competition, there's no heavy loading. It does still drop sometimes because the interchange stuff's up, but we get 100 megabits symmetrical, which means that's more than enough, and it's unlimited. So I could stream like this all day if I wanted to. I don't think you guys would want that, but I could. And it means when I eventually move to higher bitrate content, like, for example, 4K, God forbid, I could, in theory, do that. And we can also get higher than 100. We can get 200, and there is a company that was offering gigabit, but that was like a special thing, and they stopped. So we'll see. But I'm really happy with my internet here. Are unlimited plans more common now? Yes, much more common. Yeah. Animation, only 100 over fiber? Yeah, only 100 over fiber. Again, we're very backwards. The companies don't want to offer anything more than that right now. But again, 100 is more than enough. Considering... So picture this. I have a friend who lives in a more expensive area than me, and their upload speeds, max, are 0.8 megabits per second. Max. They can't get anything higher. Because the NBN is meant to be being installed, and it's not. Because they keep running into issues, because of Sydney's built like, just crap on top of each other. So they actually use 4G to do their work, because they can't get internet to the premises that's fast enough. 4G is more economical, and it's really expensive. So there you go. That's Australia. Coming up next, Maker's Views live streaming 24/7. Watch Angus eat breakfast. Breakfast stream. If only I ate breakfast. Then I could do a breakfast stream. Right. Still going. So, okay, this is a great opportunity, guys, to ask you, while I've got you, thank you so much for watching, by the way. I really super appreciate it. I know this is very janky, very last minute. I do this channel for you. So I love showing what I know, my knowledge. I love learning new things and sharing that with you. The channel recently passed 500,000 subscribers, which is absolutely bonkers. I did do a stream for that in my old premises. So I think what would be really great is I want to ask you what kind of stuff you like to see, because I absolutely steal those ideas and make videos from them. And I want to continue making content that helps you, and my whole mantra, empowering creativity through technology. I want to continue doing that. So what would you like to see? And I guess what's your feedback? If I'm so bold as to ask, I would love to know what you think. And I saw GG Gaming said, I saw you at Robotronica. Yes, and I will probably be at the next Robot Combat event in Brisbane in October. I don't know if I'll be competing, but robots are also something else I'll be doing more of, combat robots. Shivel, a stream dedicated to your hair. Yes, my hair, which never does anything I want it to do, so I just gave up years ago, and now it is what it is. That's it. That's all it is. It just does what it does. I gave up ages ago. So Josh wants to see more resin printer info. That's fair. They absolutely are becoming more popular, and I think a lot more info should be out there. I appreciate that. Jim was saying more slice of random things vids. I do like just finding random objects and printing them, like the lock. You'll definitely see more of that. I appreciate that. Yeah, so the lock was really fun to find and make. I definitely like finding those weird mechanisms and sharing them with you guys. Michael's asking about a review of the Anycubic i3 Mega. Possibly. I don't know because it's the S is the newer one. The i3s have been covered quite in quite a lot of detail, so I'm not sure. But I will probably test a few of the more popular ones. Maybe the i3 Mega. I don't know. No promises though. Topless stream. You don't want to see that. Ultra Noob, is it really stealing if we're giving you the ideas? Here's a stolen fiver. Dude, thank you so much. Yeah, no, it's not stealing. Thank you. I just absolutely, you guys give me ideas to keep making content. That's the whole thing about, will you ever run out of ideas? Well, you don't, because you get ideas from everywhere. And it never stops. 3D CNC, more free slices. Yes, a free slicer roundup is definitely overdue. There's a lot of really cool ones that I want to test out. Like IceSL is such a crazy slicer that no one's really done too much on. Like really neat, and just I want to delve into it. It's a time thing. I haven't had time. I do now. So yes, thank you, definitely. Ryan's asking about the Sidewinder. Yes, I just said about the i3s. The Sidewinder is definitely one I'm looking at. It's definitely something that's a really interesting machine that's actually becoming a bit of a cult hit as well, like the Ender 3. Anthony's saying, do I foresee a future between public institutions such as museums and 3D printing? It's already happening. The Smithsonian has produced... I talked about it in my free 3D printing model video recently. The Smithsonian has released free 3D printable files of a lot of their artifacts, or you can look at them in detail with the 3D scans. I was at a mummy exhibition when I was in New York, and they had 3D scans of the trinkets in the wraps that they got through a CAT scan, I think it was, and you could touch the 3D prints. It's already happening. It's absolutely amazing. William's talking about seeing more upgrades, CAD and reviews. Yep, absolutely. Take that on board. Thank you. Basement Dweller would like to see a Core XY build, maybe. I'd love to build a Hypercube. That's a fantastic design. It's just a lot of effort and time, which is difficult to justify, but maybe. There's also a few really cool kits out there. So, yep, I'll take it on board. I would love it. I would love a Core XY. Shivel's saying, resurrect the pancake bot. That was Joel that had the pancake bot, but I think I know what you're talking about. I did make a cake icing robot years ago. I do want to do something stupid like that. I really do. I'd love to justify that. Yvan is saying, I really like the custom Fallout 3D printer. Yes, that's in a box over there. I'd like to see a take on a briefcase or folding portable printer. Yeah, that's really cool. Ben Heck did a folding 3D printer years ago, and it's a really neat idea. He took it on a plane, I think. I think it was actually carry-on luggage. You wouldn't be able to do that anymore, I don't think. But that was really cool. More combat robot stuff. Yes, definitely. I would love to bring ant weight robots back to New South Wales. So ant weights are 150 grams. They sit in the palm of your hand. They're really tiny, and you can 3D print the whole thing. I would love to bring them back. Jay's Nolan is saying, I've just fired up some little lampshades in X3D natural PLA. Are there any better, more transparent PLAs in the Aussie market? I don't know how transparent the natural PLA is, but there is a few. But the thing about transparent filaments is they don't print transparent because of the refraction. They look translucent. But PETGs have given me the best transparency. So a PETG clear is really clear. The PLAs, you can get clear ones, but again, they don't print perfectly clear because of the layers. If you print thick layers, they tend to be a bit clearer. Michael's saying definitely do something on non-planar. More people talk about it, the more likely it'll get into a slicer. Yeah, agreed. The non-planar stuff is really cool, especially for aerofoils and subtle changes like terrain changes. I am definitely keen to look into it. GG Gaming collab with Drawer of Jazza and do a 3D printed art video collab. Um, yeah, Jazz is awesome. He's in Melbourne. Maybe. um, he's done some stuff with 3D pens. He's got a 3D printer himself as well. Definitely cool stuff. A lot of the stuff he does reminds me of Art Attack. Like the big scale stuff. Like the remote control cars and painting and big canvases. I used to love Art Attack as a kid. Shane's saying tear down one of your old 3D printers. Maybe. I did do the video on the... What was it called? Completely blanked. The Pirate 3D Buccaneer. That's right. I did that recent video. That machine's already torn down, ready to go and retrofit with stuff. I think that'd be a pretty fun video. William's saying you could do some vlogging, just share ideas while you're out and about. Maybe. I have done a few sort of more personal stuff, and it's had mixed reactions. I definitely have no hesitation to share my experiences with running channels, behind the scenes, what it's like to work for yourself, the whole philosophy and, I suppose, psychology of it, because it's very strange. Doing your own taxes, everything. But yeah, so some vlogging stuff could be fun. I could give it another shot. It tends to be a bit of a binary, like people like it or people don't like it, and because it's not to do with 3D printing as such, it tends to be a bit of a mixed reception. Have you tried that Russian laser that Teaching Tech reviewed? You're funny, Paco. No. So, again, just laying it out there, I will never review a product that I deem as dangerous on the channel. So, regardless of I think it's crap, if it's crap, I will absolutely slam it. And rightly so, if something sucks, it should be made public. But the issue with the lasers and all of that is that they are... You can go blind straight away. So the MakerPi K5 had a laser module. It had a door on it. I did slam them for it being unsafe. But the whole, like, strap a laser to your i3 and there's got an aluminium plate under it, never in a million years. I think it's the stupidest idea. Having said that, I will probably be reviewing laser systems in future with a full enclosure. So, like, that's the ones where you open the lid, it stops, the laser stops. Like, proper safe stuff, absolutely. But yeah, that whole debacle with Teaching Tech, if you guys aren't familiar, he reviewed a product which was received as negatively and the company was like threatening to sue him. It was ridiculous. They completely backtracked as well because of the public perception was so negatively received. So Teaching Tech did nothing wrong. He tried to turn a crappy product around and make an interesting video out of it. They freaked out. Anyway, I will not review those sort of systems ever. They're just absolute garbage. Dangerous. Sorry. It's just my personal code. I won't do it. Yeah, so Wellbot's saying George apologized eventually. I don't think it's good enough. He shouldn't have... there's no excuse for what actually happened. Apologies are worthless in terms of that sort of reaction. It felt like someone came around and tried to clean up for him. I don't know. That's my opinion. It's not, there's not grounded in fact. I just wouldn't review those products. I designed my own 3D printed bird feeder powered by cryptocurrency and make all the hardware and software open source. That's crazy. That I will try to find that link you're suggesting. There is a lot of birds here. A bird feeder could be fun. I do have a DJI Osmo Pocket, which is fantastic and small for sort of getting up close to them. What was that? Mark's saying, hi, how did you find out where the fiber to the house locations are? I used finder.com.au. Finder.com.au. And I was looking on the internet locations, and it used to show what technology was in what location. I don't know if it still does, I'm sorry. You used to be able to look at locations, so we used to go through the rental area, look at areas we wanted to rent, and then go chuck each house address, or semi-house, whatever, into the website and see what it came up with, and it would say fiber to the premises. And then when you go inspect, make sure there's the NBN box or whatever fiber box on the wall. But I don't know if they still do it. But that's what we used to do. Cool. I think it's beer o'clock. I've been moving a lot of stuff. So thank you for joining me, guys. That was heaps of really useful information. Thank you. I'm definitely taking that on board. I'm definitely going to see what I can do. So look out for. I do have things I can tell you that are coming. I do have that ANET A8 Plus. Yeah, I have an ANET that I need to finish assembling. That's going to be reviewed. Then we might do a little video on this, maybe a little silly video. And I mentioned the Fusion 360 update. That's changed. But I'll definitely take all your suggestions on board and formulate what videos I'll do soon. We're setting this place up. Might still be a few delays, but hopefully not too long. And I will update you on this result on Twitter at MakersMuse. I'll do a post. But so far, first impressions, we got it out of the box. Oops. We got it out of the box. We followed the quick start manual. We fit filament in, and it worked. So I'm pretty impressed. It's a ridiculous looking printer. It costs $300 Australian, which is pretty expensive for the print volume. I don't know. I really was expecting to say it was terrible at the end of this video, but it's not. So there you go. Looks can be deceiving. So thanks for watching, guys. I had an absolute blast. Have a fantastic Thursday night, Friday morning, Friday afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And I look forward to seeing you again very shortly here on Maker's Muse. Catch you later, guys. Bye. And now to stop the thing.